Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have both Rebekah and Sarah here today to talk to us a little bit more about music therapy and Parkinson's and how it can help you. A couple of housekeeping items before we get going. So we are going to hold all of our questions until the end of the presentation. But if you have any questions, there are a couple of different ways that you can ask. The first option is on your control panel for GoToWebinar. There should be a questions tab. You can just click on that, type your question in. The question will actually come directly to me, and I can ask the question to Sarah and Rebekah at the end. Or the other option is if you see a raise your hand function on your GoToWebinar, you can go ahead and click that, and we can unmute you and you can ask your question directly. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. Again, we'll hold those until the end. If you've got the question, go ahead and type it in or make a note. Another bit, there are handouts available. So if you navigate to your control panel, there should be a little tab that says handouts. There are a couple of different things there, including the slides from the presentation today and a couple of other things like our exercise liability waiver. So if you want to participate in the class that Rehabilitative Rhythms hosts, then you can go ahead and sign that and send it back to me and go ahead and participate. We also have a flyer for our E3 conference, which I'll get to in just a second. But before we get going, we have a couple of other programs coming up. We actually have quite a few programs coming up and over the next couple of weeks, really. The first, on Wednesday, July 29th, we'll have a webinar on upgrading your DBS system. On Tuesday, August 4th, we'll have one specifically on speech and swallowing. On Thursday, August 6th, we'll have one for at-home exercises in Parkinson's, and we'll actually have some demonstrations for different exercises that you can do in home using cans of beans and things like that as your weights. It'll be a good one. After that, on Saturday, August 8th, that's a busy week for us apparently. We have one on alleviating on-off periods in your Parkinson's. So if you're experiencing any of that, you can tune in and see what you can do about it. And the last one that we have kind of on the docket is making your wishes known with the Conversation Project out of Boulder County. And that'll be on Thursday, August 13th. I know that was a lot of information, but you can find all of the times, dates, as well as the registration links on our website at www.parkinsonrockies.org/online programs, and you can register from there. Last little bit before we transfer over power to you guys is we have our E3 conference coming up on October 3rd. This is typically our biggest event of the year, in-person event, but we have moved it to a virtual platform this year, which is kind of exciting and scary, but I think it'll offer a lot more people some opportunities to learn a little bit, and also offer some opportunities to have breakout rooms for more specific things like young onset Parkinson's or living single or living alone as a person with Parkinson's. So that's again on Saturday, October 3rd. From 8:30 to 2:30 p.m. and you can register for that or find out for more information at www.parkinsonrockies.org/E3 conference. So with that, I will wrap up my own little spiel and go ahead and transfer over power to you two.
Awesome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I hope you're awake. It's beautiful outside. It's a beautiful, beautiful day.
Yeah, it's a good day to go for a walk. No thunderstorms this afternoon, I don't think, which is magical.
That's right.
You go first, Sarah. You can introduce yourself.
Great. Well, my name is Sarah Thompson, and I'm so honored to be doing this webinar with the Parkinson Association. Today, we're going to be talking about enhancing PD health with neurologic music therapy. We're just going to hit on a couple high points today because this is a huge topic, actually. So we're just going to give a couple demonstrations. Outside of this webinar, my role is running an organization called Rehabilitative Rhythms. and we specialize in working with individuals with neurologic and developmental differences. We've been around for about 15 years, and we do a lot of work out in the community. Rebekah, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Rebekah. Hopefully I've met a few of you. I have worked pretty closely with the Parkinson's Association over the years. I've done some movement breaks at the E3 conference for the past few years. I work with Sarah at Rehabilitative Rhythms, and I started our Good Vibrations music and voice class through the Parkinson's Association, which has now become the latest chapter of the Trumbull Clefs, which we're really excited about. So I've done lots and lots of work with Parkinson's support groups throughout the years, and I just really enjoy using music and particularly singing to help people with Parkinson's better their quality of life through using singing for having a healthier voice and a healthier swallow. So that's where I'm coming from. We'll get into that a little bit more later.
Great. Let's head on to the next slide. So your overview today, if you don't remember anything else from this presentation, is that really what we're doing here is combining music with science for neurologic music therapy techniques. So everything that we're going to be showing you has a lot of research behind it. But our job is essentially to make you forget that about all that research while you're engaging, to make it so fun and engaging that you're just involved in what you're doing, but just know that there was a lot of background, a lot of science, a lot of research put into why these things were put together for you, a lot of planning, and these things have evolved over these techniques have evolved over the last few decades as the science has evolved. So one of the biggest questions we get asked when we're out doing presentations is, what kind of music should I listen to? And the answer is, listen to music that you like. And we're going to go more into depth about that here in the next several minutes to talk about looking at all the music you like and maybe breaking it down by different areas. But the bottom line is, you shouldn't force yourself to listen to any particular kind of music, thinking that it's, better than a different type of music. It really has a lot to do with just preference, and that's really what the research shows. What the music that you like is going to be more powerful neurologically for you.
All right, so first we are going to talk about using music therapy to help with your voice. This is an area I'm incredibly passionate about, and I think it's a really important area to discuss for people with Parkinson's, because one of the areas that can really affect your quality of life is your ability to be heard and understood by the people around you, your ability to speak up, your ability to swallow, and I've just really seen what a great effect that has on people, because it's so important for us to be able to communicate with our friends and families and our loved ones, and that is why voice is so important. So we're going to do a real quick scientific overview of the vocal mechanism. I think the thing that I want you to take away from this slide is that all of the muscles that we use for speaking, we also use for singing, and we also use for swallowing. They are all the same muscles. They're all interconnected. And when we work on one, it affects all. So singing affects your voice and it affects your swallow, because all of those muscles are the same. They just work in different ways to be able to do different things. So you've got your lips. Your lips are a muscle. You've got your tongue is a muscle. Your larynx down here is your voice box. There are muscles all around your voice box, but your vocal cords are also a muscle. You have your pharynx, which is your throat area. Your epiglottis is this little spot right up here that closes off your kind of air tube when you swallow. your soft palate up here, which is kind of the back of your mouth. If you push the back of your tongue up and make like a g, g or a k, k sound, your tongue is pushing against your soft palate. All of these different muscles and all of these different areas in your mouth are important for speaking, they're important for singing, and they're important for swallowing. That's the biggest point I want you to take away, that they are all interconnected, which is why singing can be so helpful in working on any number of vocal issues in Parkinson's disease. Singing can help reduce the symptoms of dysarthria. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. It can reduce the risk of aspiration, which is kind of, if you've ever had that feeling of food or drink going down the wrong pipe. That's because something went wrong, your air pipe didn't close off properly, and you accidentally got some food or some liquid down the wrong pipe. And that usually induces coughing. Singing can help improve breath support. It can help improve volume. It can help improve articulation and swallow function. And it also can help all of those different mechanisms and all of those different muscles work together to coordinate better. So what I like to say is that singing is kind of like doing a plank for your vocal cords and for your larynx. The reason singing is such an effective tool to help strengthen all of these muscles in your mouth and in your throat is because singing activates all of those muscles in a more consistent way. So think about when you say something, like I am right now, my voice pauses and turns off. So it's turning on and it's turning off. So all those muscles are activating and then they're not. And then they're activating and then they're not. But when I'm singing, my voice never turns off. So it's more consistent activation and exercise of all of those muscles in your mouth and around your vocal mechanism. In Parkinson's disease, our muscles are very deeply affected for various reasons, which I'm sure a lot of you know. But all of these muscles are also affected. You have to exercise them just like you have to exercise your arms, just like you have to exercise your core, just like you have to exercise your legs. It's really important to exercise these small muscles that affect the way that you speak, your ability to be heard and understood, and also your ability to eat the things that you want. You know, if these muscles are not coordinating well, then that sometimes leads to not only issues with speaking, but issues with swallowing. And everyone wants to be able to eat what they want without the risk of aspiration, which can be really, really dangerous, especially in Parkinson's disease. So that's why singing can be such an effective exercise to do. We'll talk a little bit about the class that we host every week that is really, really focused on singing for vocal and swallow health. However, singing in your home, singing along in the car, singing in your daily life is also really important. Going to a class once a week can help give you tools to use throughout the rest of the week, but going to a class and singing for an hour once a week is not going to be effective enough. You really need to integrate these types of things into your daily life. So if you download this handout, we've actually left some blank spaces down here so that you can think of some songs that you know and that you like to sing along to that may be effective for improving breath support in particular. So we're going to do a little demonstration of a song that would be good for breath support. We're going to sing My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. The thing about singing that can be so effective in addressing breath support is that, think about when you're singing, you take a breath and then there's an end of a line and you take another breath. And so It's really, really natural, and it really helps with the coordination of taking in a big breath and then using that breath to have a big voice, and then stopping and taking another breath. And the rhythmic and melodic timing of music does that very, very naturally. Most of us don't have to think about it, which is why it's a really effective way to work on improving lung capacity and breath support and coordination. So here we go. I'm sure most of you know My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. Remember, you're muted and we can't see you, so please sing along because no one's gonna know. So whatever you sound like, I don't care. We'll just do a little bit here. So sit up nice and tall, put your feet flat on the floor, roll your shoulders back, get nice and tall. When we're sitting, we want to make sure that we are sitting nice and tall so that we've got plenty of room in our abdomen for our lungs and our diaphragm to expand so that we can really get a full deep breath. The more you work on coordinating your breath support, the stronger your lungs will be, which means that you'll have a louder voice, but also you'll have stronger lungs to be able to bounce back or cough up things if things go down the wrong tube, which is really essential for reducing the risk of pneumonia as well. Here we go. Deep breath in here. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. Breathe. My Bonnie lies over the sea. Breathe. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. Breathe. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me. All right, we're going to sing that one more time, but now I want to challenge you. If you were not able to do each line with a single breath, I really want to challenge you to try and do that. If you were able to do each line with a single breath, see if you can do 2 lines with just one breath, okay? I'm not even sure I can do that, but we'll try together. Here we go, deep breath. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My Bonnie lies over the sea. Big breath. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me. Here we go. Bring back. Bring back, oh, bring back my Bonnie to me, Breathe. Bring back, don't breathe. Bring back, breathe. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me. I hope you're able to do at least a couple of those. So things to challenge yourself at home, because I think that's really, really important. So think of a song that has kind of longer lines and plenty of room at the end of each line to take a nice, full, deep breath. So go through and sing those songs and be really intentional about noting when you breathe and really trying to get through a full line in one breath. And then if you're able to do that, then maybe start challenging yourself to go a little bit longer without taking a breath, maybe 2 lines without a breath, or maybe a line and a half. It's really, really easy to be able to track your progress when you're singing along to songs. And I think it's a really, really great way to work on breath support and lung health at home. All right, so Sarah's going to take over here with movement.
Fabulous. So another area of focus for staying active and functioning at the maximum capacity is being able to keep moving. And music is very important for movement, certain elements of music. So what we were just doing with Rebekah, working on voice, one of the things she talked about was thinking about songs with long phrases. Now we're going to be thinking about songs that have a good beat. So let's head on to the next slide and see. So rhythm is one of the most important elements for movement. So rhythm gives your body an auditory pattern to follow. If I clap my hands, that's like a steady beat. And if I ask you to start tapping your leg, chances are you're going to start tapping with me, because it's an auditory pattern that you're following. rhythm can actually help make up for the internal timing that gets a little bit off or a little broken with Parkinson's disease. So there are lots of videos on the internet, and you can see it live when you're working with us, that when we introduce rhythm in the environment, your body just starts to move better. And that's because rhythm is processed in areas of our brain that do movement. And there's a direct tie between listening to a rhythm and moving. And right now, there's probably some of you thinking, I have no rhythm, I'm a terrible dancer. This is a different type of thing. It's not a complex thing. It's a very simple beat, actually. And everyone responds to it. All the research has been done on people who are not musicians. You don't need to be a musician. You don't need to be able to tap out any kind of complex drum beat to do this. Your brain is going to respond the same way, either whether you're a musician or not. Musicians will be a little more in tune to more complex aspects, but non-musicians are really a lot of who's been studied when they've looked at rhythm and how your body responds. Rhythm improves coordination. So because of that auditory pattern, your body starts to anticipate when it's supposed to move. And they've actually done studies on different muscles of the body where they measure how the muscle moves. And with that auditory pattern, I'll just give you an auditory pattern again. If I ask you to tap your leg with your hand, if we were to measure how your hand was moving in your arm right now, what we would see is the muscles, after a few clicks of my clapping or a few clicks of the rhythm, the muscles actually start to anticipate and start to fire just before the beat. So that there is a direct effect, not just on your brain, but it goes all the way down through your muscles, and your muscles start firing a little ahead of time. So it helps us get coordinated because your body has a predictable time when to move. So rhythm is incredibly helpful for coordination. Rhythm can also help improve walking or gait. And that is something that's been shown over and over again. There's over 80 research studies on using rhythm for walking. And that's something you can do at home after you have consulted with a professional. The reason that we like for you to consult with a professional is because there is a science to how we come by the best speed for you and the best auditory cue. So some people do okay with just a metronome. A lot of people don't find that very fun or engaging after a while to walk with a metronome. Sometimes you can add a click into some music that's existing. There's different ways to do that, but your personal background with music and your situation really influence that. The other piece of that is how you're currently moving. You need a professional to look at how you're currently moving and then think about what they're trying to accomplish with adding the beat to your movement. So if you're taking small steps, the goal would probably be to take a little bit larger steps. So if you're taking small steps really quickly, we don't want to actually give you a beat that would enable you to still just do the same thing. We want you to improve your gait by striding out bigger. And so there's ways that you want to change and manipulate the click or the rhythm or the beat in order to accomplish that goal. So we do always highlight going to a physical therapist and a music therapist to get connected to a home gait program to really make that effective. Because again, if you try and do it for yourself, chances are you're not going to be optimizing your gait. You're going to be just kind of trying to go along with what you're already doing rather than working towards a goal. Mm-hmm. So we talked about with singing and swallowing and vocal function that there's that element of long phrases. And here for rhythm and movement, we're going to be talking about getting a good beat. I have this auto harp that I'm going to play. Some of you may remember this from, I know a lot of people tell me that their elementary school music teacher used to play an auto harp. It's not used very commonly anymore. But we'll try the movement of just opening, closing our hands. So open, close, open, close, open, close. Oh no, we're delayed. It's so hard to coordinate with someone over the internet because there's a delay. So open, close. I'm ignoring you, Becca. Open, close, open, close, open, close. Bye, love, close. Bye, happiness. Hello, loneliness. Think I'm gonna cry. Close, open, close, open, close. Bye, love. Bye, sweet caress. Hello, emptiness. I'm gonna die. I'm love goodbye. Close, open, close, open, close. So we look for that nice steady beat with music. That's what we're looking for when we pick out a song that we want to move to. We want to pick out something that's going to allow us to do the full range of motion of the movement so it doesn't go too fast, and a song that has a really strong beat to prime us. Now, one of the beautiful things about using a song is, and a song that's rhythmic, is that you're using the rhythm to cue the movement, but then the second part of that, when you use a song, is you are encouraged to keep going till the end of the song. So if I were to ask you, how many repetitions did you do just now? Most of you would have no idea. And so that's what makes it a little bit different than if you're just doing an exercise with silence and counting, like 1, 2, 3. You can see how that feels really different. If you have good technique with your movement and you just are working on endurance, songs are a great way to do that because you get so many repetitions in. So we left space here for you. Again, if you want the handout, you could write down a couple more songs. You may not know Bye Bye Love. That may not be something that you are fond of. You maybe like different types of music, but you could write down a couple songs that would work for moving.
Emotions. This, by the way, is Sarah's very cute little son. So we wanted to throw in the social and emotional benefits of music as well into this presentation for a couple of different reasons. One, because specifically in Parkinson's, we know that there is a reduction in the amount of dopamine that is being released and that is pairing in your brain. And dopamine is part of our brain reward system. So dopamine is really essential for getting up and going and moving and things like that. But it is also really important for mood. It's one of the different neurotransmitters that elevates our mood and makes us feel better. And that's because it's part of our reward system. So particularly in Parkinson's, you can imagine if there is a lack of dopamine, there is also a high prevalence of depression. And music is one of the things that actually encourages our brain to release dopamine and kind of pairs with that reward system. If you've ever had the experience of listening to a piece of music and there's a spot in the music where you got goosebumps, I don't know if that happens to everybody. It certainly happens to me. That is your brain just flooding with dopamine. That response when you get goosebumps and you listen to something, your brain's reward and pleasure system is just going, wow, that was amazing. And that is why you get goosebumps, is because of the dopamine, which I just think is really cool. And that's a really nice concrete example of how music can affect our reward system in our brain. So if nothing else, listening to music that you really enjoy, that gives you that rush of dopamine that makes you get goosebumps or feel a certain way, can be really, really essential just as a mood boost, which honestly right now, especially in the time of COVID, this is another reason we wanted to include this in our presentation, because I think I can speak for most people. We're all feeling a bit isolated right now. And especially for individuals who are having a harder time getting out or for health reasons need to stay in more often, I think the feelings of isolation and the lack of ability to be physically around other people and feel connected is really taking a toll on a lot of us. And one way that we can combat that is by using music and interacting socially through music. Now, right now, we are not able to meet in person, but all of the classes that the Parkinson's Association is doing online allow people to at least get a piece of that social interaction every single week, which is honestly, it's so important for all of us. It's important for any of us. And music is a really great way to have something to interact with around, whether it be an exercise group, whether it be a choir or a singing group like the one that we do. Music is a really wonderful way to not only help be a mood boost, but help to facilitate those social interactions that I think we're all really needing right now. And the wonderful thing about engaging in music together is that it releases another neurotransmitter called oxytocin. And oxytocin is a neurotransmitter that is kind of associated with bonding with another person. So oxytocin is often released between babies and moms. There are a lot of different ways that oxytocin is released, but it helps to create that bond that we feel with one another. And playing or singing together actually releases oxytocin. And so music is a really great way to kind of coordinate that together. So songs that make me feel good. We left this totally blank because I don't know which songs make you feel good. It's such a personal thing. But I think it's really important to think about because this feels like very low-hanging fruit right now. Think about some music that makes you feel really good to listen to. And bonus points if the music that makes you feel really good is also music that either has a structure that is really great for working on your voice and your breath support, or that's really great for working on movement like Sarah talked about. So take a couple of minutes right now as I'm talking and think about the songs that you listen to or the music that you listen to that make you feel good. I think it's incredibly important to identify that and then see if those songs that you really love overlap with any of the other areas that we've been talking about. Again, this presentation is on a PDF document that you can download, and I really encourage you to do that because you can take all this information with you and it'll be a good reminder to help you kind of identify the music that you can use at home, as well as bring to your music therapist and say, this is the kind of music I really enjoy listening to, so that they can coordinate it into your group or your session, anything like that. So I'm going to hand it back over to Sarah for these next couple of slides.
So I hope you've gotten a sense in what we've talked about so far of what music therapists do. So we're trained in the art and the science of applying music to improve your life. So we all have a science background. We all are musicians and play multiple instruments. And what we do is really customize each technique and each intervention to the person that we're working with, the goals that we're trying to accomplish. That's what music therapists do. We do have a Parkinson's specific research summary. If there's any researchers listening in, we do have that, and we've been active in some Parkinson's research as well. Music therapy is something that I think you're going to start to hear a lot about. So for those of you on this webinar, you're on the cutting edge. Back in September, of 2019, which seems like a world ago because life was normal then, the National Institutes of Health actually gave $20 million to music and neuroscience research, which is just a sign of how much this is growing and how much this is going to be included in the future of things, not only in research and science, medical settings, community settings. It's just really a growing thing. So the summary here is to be mindful of how you use music. I know some people enjoy listening to the radio. There's certainly a time and place for that, but I would also encourage you to see if you can use an app, or maybe you have CDs or records at home, but think of a way where you can pick and choose what you're listening to, and you can actually group things together. You can make a playlist for moving. I have a playlist for when I'm exercising, and then I have a different playlist for when I want to sing to songs, and that's a great thing to do, because songs that are good for one thing, songs that are good for singing, are probably not going to be the best songs to move to. A lot of songs that have that lyrical structure, those long phrases, tend to be slower, and that might not be the best fit if you're really trying to get up and going in the morning. So a couple other resources to look at for learning about music therapy is the American Music Therapy Association has their website at musictherapy.org, and then our website is now possiblewithmusic.org. And so you're welcome to go to either of those to find out more information.
All right. This is the exciting, important slide. So again, print this out so you have this information. These are some ways to get involved in music therapy in the community here in the Denver metro area. And honestly, if you're anywhere in Colorado right now, I know that the Parkinson's Association has opened up all of their web-based classes to kind of the entire Colorado community. And so wherever you are, if you're watching this webinar, you are welcome to join us. So we do the tremble clefs every single week on Thursdays. So today, so yay, you can watch the webinar now and then join us in like 2 hours for tremble clefs. We have a fabulous music therapist who is running that class right now. Her name is Maddie, and she is wonderful. And this class is sponsored by the Parkinson's Association of the Rockies. So if you have not filled out a liability release form, that is still something that you need to do even to participate in the online-based classes. So again, in the handouts, you can go ahead and download the liability release form for the class, and that's all you need. I've included the link here. I know obviously you can't click on it right now on the screen. However, this is the web address and the link for the classes, and you will be able to click on it if you download the handout. So download the handout so that you can have the link for Tremble Clefs. Tremble Clefs is a national Parkinson's choir program. It totally varies, you know, by who is teaching it, who's directing it. Here at Rehabilitative Rhythms, you have a music therapist who is leading these classes. And it is heavily focused on singing for vocal health, and that includes your speaking voice and your swallow, remember, because those are all interconnected. So if you just love singing with people, remember this is also a really good opportunity to engage in community and really help with those more social aspects that I think we're all super feeling right now during COVID. So if you just want to come and sing with people, I would really encourage you to check it out. We would be really delighted to have you. And because PAR is sponsoring it, it's donation based. So it's really, accessibility should not be an issue for anyone. Please come join us. A couple of things that we at Rehabilitative Rhythms offer are adaptive lessons. Sarah mentioned some of the research we've been a part of. We've been a part of a couple of small pilot studies looking at using piano lessons and adapted piano lessons for fine motor strength and dexterity. And I know a lot of people I've talked to have said, I want to learn a new instrument because it's good for my brain, and that is true. So why not do something that's good for your brain and good for your body? Come learn a new instrument. We've got really fabulous music therapists who teach both piano and guitar lessons, and it's just a ton of fun and a great way to learn a new skill. And you can do those online as well. So you can stay safe and you can do that online. And then, like Sarah was saying, particularly for individuals who have gait and balance difficulties, find a professional and get an individual gait consult. We have a fabulous team of physical therapists who specialize in working with people with Parkinson's disease, who also sublease out of our office. So it's a really great way to get some interdisciplinary collaboration and a really solid music and gait consult in one spot. So if you live anywhere outside of this Denver metro area, please feel free also to, here are some selected references, but I'm actually going to skip this and go to this contact us page. Please feel free to contact us. My email address is here, and then the phone number is listed below. If you dial that phone number, you can get connected to myself, or you can get connected to Sarah. I'm extension 1, Sarah's extension 3. Super easy, same phone number. You can talk to either of us. But if you need recommendations of music therapists in your area, if you're looking for more individualized stuff, also please feel free to contact us, and we'll point you in the right direction. But at this point in time, we would really love to take questions or chat with you guys. So I'm going to leave my contact info page up for a little bit, if that's okay, so that
Elena will be hopping back on, I think
Elena will be hopping
there
on
she
to
is.
take questions. Yay!
So just to reiterate really quickly, if you want to ask a question, navigate to either the tab that says questions on it and go ahead and type in questions, or you can raise your hand if you'd like to ask your question directly to Rebekah or Sarah. Really quickly, while we wait for a couple to come in, I know that it might be a little intimidating for some people to join a music class if they can't necessarily carry a tune, and I kind of wanted to ask you guys about that and see what your thoughts were.
Yes, so our training is a little different. A music educator, the goal is to make beautiful music and have the piece of music sound perfect. That's what music education does. Music therapy is using music as a means to an end, essentially. So even if you sing like a frog, the process of singing is going to be therapeutic for you, because you're going to create those great changes that Rebekah was talking about. You're going to strengthen muscles and things like that. So we are not focused on, you know, people sounding perfectly, the music sounding perfectly. It's our job to make you successful musically, but really the point is engaging in music is what's going to be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, using your voice is using your voice. And that's the important thing for getting those results and the improvement that you want. So whether or not you can carry a tune in the bucket, it doesn't matter at all. And plus, since we're doing it online, you can mute yourself if you really don't want anybody to hear you.
I don't want people to hear you.
So then only the people in your house have to know how you really sound. So, or you can go in a quiet room, go to the bathroom.
Yep.
Bathrooms have great acoustics.
Everyone sounds better in the bathroom, I swear. Awesome. Another question really quickly. Can you kind of walk us through what a typical online treble clef class looks like, just in case anybody wants to join later on today?
Yeah, absolutely. So for our online classes, typically everyone get a couple of minutes to come in and get settled. You'll be encouraged to find a nice comfortable seat or a quiet space so that you can hear and also feel comfortable singing along. Maybe grab a glass of water, you know, because singing can also make you thirsty. So kind of set yourself up for success. Really come with the mentality that you're here to not only sing with other people and enjoy yourself, but that you're really here to make some progress with your voice intentionally. So the class is structured in a really neat way. If you go to a traditional choir class, you might do, 10 or 15 minutes of vocal warm-ups, and then you'll start working on your songs. With this class, it's structured a little bit differently. So everything is very targeted and very functional. So we may do a vocal warm-up with the piano or something like that, and we're really targeting something like holding a long breath, or maybe we're targeting something like articulation. And so your exercise will be patika, 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 and we'll do a whole bunch of those exercises. And then we'll do a couple of songs that integrate the elements of those vocal exercises so that you can actually transfer those skills that you were working on into something more functional and more similar to speech, but that again activates your voice for a longer period of time and helps you coordinate breath. Singing is honestly one of the best things that you can do for your voice, just because of the way that it activates our muscles and our vocal mechanism. And so we'll kind of go back and forth between a voice exercise and maybe a couple of songs. And we throw in some fun brain exercises as well, and some physical movement, just because singing in front of your computer for an hour, we don't want anybody to fall asleep, especially since class is right after lunch and it's right around medication time as well. So we really want to keep your brains and your body active as well, which will in turn help everybody to have a really great time. So we do all sorts of stuff, brain exercises, physical movements while we're singing. So even though the class is super focused on the voice, you'll kind of get a good well-rounded workout in that hour.
So it looks like we had a question come in during that time. Do you guys have homework for the week in between classes?
That's a really great question. I actually can't speak to that right now because I'm kind of supporting Maddie while she is running the class. So I think that's a great idea. So yes, we'll start doing homework. I think the focus is very much on take these things and do them at home, or find some songs to sing at home. Because again, like I said earlier, 1 hour a week is not going to make a huge world of difference in your life. It's really there to give you the tools to be able to use the rest of the week. Kind of like going to physical therapy once a week and not doing any other physical activity is not going to be beneficial. So homework is very encouraged, although I'm not sure if it's specifically spelled out. But I love that idea.
Home music making.
Yeah, home music making is highly encouraged.
Yeah. Homework doesn't sound quite as fun.
That's a really good question.
Awesome. Well, it doesn't look like we have any other questions coming in, but as a couple of wrap up points, make sure you do download those handouts. You saw that there was plenty of things in the presentation itself, as well as that exercise liability waiver. If you don't already have one, you can fill that out, send it back to me, and then participate in class today. There is a survey that will be released after the presentation, so go ahead and fill that out. There will also be a follow-up email sent out tomorrow around this time, and that will include a recording of this presentation, as well as the handouts and my email address. So if you've got any other questions, I can either connect you with Rebekah or Sarah, and we can kind of go from there. Other than that, I will go ahead and say thank you to Sarah and Rebekah so much. It was a great presentation. I think you're right. I think music therapy will become more and more popular as people, I don't know, sometimes you don't really think about your voice and speech as an issue until it is, and then it might be harder to get back to where you were. So anyway,
exactly.
Thank you so much. I loved the presentation, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Yeah.
Take good care of yourself.
Yeah.
You too.